Today is the 1 year anniversary of the Orlando nightclub shooting, where 49 lives were lost at the hands of a madman by the name of Omar Mateen, who was killed in that same day by police officers. This occurred the day after I graduated from high school. Um, there have been very many shootings that I have been privy to and that have taken place over my lifetime. Virginia Tech, Columbine, the Ohio college shooting, San Bernardino. But this truly and really is the one that I believe has had the most significance to me. And I bring up that what one would consider trivia, which is that it happened the day after my high school graduation, because I believe that it erased to me this idea that I am entitled to a long life or some X amount of days before I can expect to, be in the likelihood of passing away, that I can expect to have my 20s and I can expect to have my 30s. That idea just went out of the water as a result of bearing witness to this and seeing the carnage and reading the descriptions and viewing those videos of those terrified people that were recording on their cell phone as he started shooting. But really, this is also to push the idea. We as a society are so used to putting our hands on people in times of conflict and wanting to use physical force to convey a message. Whether you like it or not, he tried to convey the message of this terrorism while engaging in this act. And he was successful in doing that, unfortunately. But my problem is that people like this are not all Muslims, and I think most of us know that. And I get so irritated seeing the anti Islamic rhetoric while also knowing that there are plenty of people of that faith and any other faith really that are decent individuals that get lumped up with these just terrible perpetrators. And that's exactly what he was. One thing we should take away from this, no matter how many years pass, is that you don't know how long you can have a person. I remember reading one day about the youngest victim. She was 18, and at the time I was also 18, so it really struck a chord with me. Who's to say I live to be a certain age? Because most people do. And I know this isn't the type of thing that happens every day, but that's what makes it so significant. That's what makes it something we question and we think about and we ponder and give credence to and keep in the back of our minds. We do that not just because we're some sick, curious animals. We also are worried about how do we survive? How do we address individuals who would have no problem taking almost half 100 lives? Actually, taking that many lives and letting all these casualties pile up on their conscience. It's simple. A person who does that has no conscience. They do not feel, nor do they understand what it is like to get the phone call that someone that you cared about, someone that you loved, someone that made you feel a very positive way that most people in this world will never make you feel, is gone. You will never see them again. He didn't understand that feeling. He didn't comprehend how people could love each other. And it's all the more agonizing when you think to yourself, this wasn't a man who was just by himself. He had a wife, he had a child. And I'm sure he could probably maybe understand loving them. But it's the ability to not be able to empathize with the loss of other people that is what is so problematic in our society. See, you'll notice when a lot of these shootings go down, if a person is to shoot another man, they're not going to think to themselves, this man is somebody's father, somebody's son, somebody's husband, somebody's friend. They're thinking to themselves, this person is bothering me or they're irritating me, let me get rid of them. Same thing with him. He didn't think these are someone's parents, someone's sister, brother, significant other. And really, if we were able to get more people who have these murderous tendencies to understand that there's more to a person than just your personal beef with them, I believe and am firmly convinced we could stop most of these shootings. But never will I forget the day when I woke up that morning and was informed of the incident by a relative. How taken aback I was by its randomness, by its just uniformic way of being entrenched into my timeline of events. I was less than 24 hours a high school graduate, and just hearing about that and seeing the sorrow by people that live in that respective area, it's not that I cannot sympathize, it's that I try to limit myself because there are things that are on TV of people holding these images up of these relatives, playing these videos of these people they cared about that were over there. That really is enough to bring me to the point of tears because I know that they know that for those ones that ended up being casualties, they will never see them again. And we can get into the semantics of Christianity and the afterlife, but my point is, in the immediate aftermath, that person is gone. And they're not gone because they had some illness. They're not gone because they were suffering some different circumstance. They happen to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. And people just can't seem to get that that could happen to any one of us. That's why I get so pissed when I sit up here and I read by these senators after each shooting about their heart being with the victims, but nothing being done to stop this mindless menace of violence. And we can sit here and talk about, oh well, get money out of politics, this, but I'm not trying to turn this into a political speech, even though I shall concede an overwhelming majority of our problems in this country today, and I think the gun lobbyers have made this one a big issue, are because of money. And it has been seen as more profitable to have these incidents occur and have bodies pile up than to get psychiatrists and therapists to work with people who have mental problems that recognize they have it and that other people recognize they have. This is not the first time someone insane has decided to take a number of lives, nor will it be the last. But if we wanted to, we could make steps to prevent it. And it's within our government that we see this tendency to be slow while also being quick to throw out billions of dollars or have some other outrageous thing occur in a foreign country, but doing nothing to stop the plight of its own people here. Really, this is an issue we've seen over time in the last several decades as it's gotten worse and worse. But I'm bringing that up not to suggest that we live in some third world country or we're just going down the deep end, because we're not. We're still decent, but we have to realize you have to protect yourself and you have to be able to recognize that the government isn't coming to help you by issuing laws that would help to prevent these things from happening. You're not going to have a million police officers around you every time. You just have to live life, try to remain safe, and be a decent person. And I know that's not much in the face of someone, holding down a weapon, but the era we live in is fully capable of having people that recognize this is not the action to take, that also seek help to further back that theory. We don't wake up one day and just become monsters. It's a gradual process, and I think a number of relatives recognized that about him and chose not to. Are they responsible for what happened? I think we all play a factor in some events, but I wouldn't classify it as they are, needing to go to jail. He chose to do it himself, and there's no proof of them helping him get these weapons that he used. It's so aggravating to sit here and think about how that youngest victim who stays with me anytime I think of this event more than any other one because of us sharing the same age at the time will never get to experience graduating from college, having a family, just things that I feel people should be able to do, people should live to see. And I'm not saying the other lives don't matter, but it's that idea that you can't even get a few decades here before it's your supposed time to go. A lot of people will say it's fate or it's some part of circumstance. I like to believe that we all play a role in the various events that occur in our lives that are in our control. I don't believe this was God telling him to do this. I think he had a twisted mentality, but I feel individuals are the ones who choose to do these things to other individuals. And I'm not here to toot my own horn. I'm not here to, make myself seem great, but, you know, I recognize the value of a human life. And I know that people who I, sometimes can't stand have some decent qualities and they have relatives that, certainly favor them and friends whom consider them allies and different people that have various generally good relationships with them. And even if I don't, there's no reason for me to, feel some resentment toward that. I'll go and make my own relationships. And, before I end my tangent here, and I know I'm taking up so much time, I was so frustrated when I went and watched most of these reactions because this shooting was the first one to me where it became readily apparent the only thing we as a country are going to do in response to any of this stuff is just give a speech, not propose anything. And look, there's nothing wrong with going somewhere and saying, we have to try to do this, we've got to try to do this. But I'm sorry, I'm not going to hold the executive branch responsible for this. I'm going to hold the people who did it responsible or the person who did it. And if I were in a position of power, such as a governor, a senator, a representative, I would try to propose something that I feel would benefit individuals who were not there and could potentially be saved from a similar circumstance. And I didn't see that, barring, some stuff in the Senate, I didn't see that being done on a local level in Florida by its governor, by its senators, or by its representatives. And that's not to say that everyone over there is lazy, but the problem is even when one member of Congress tries to do something, which I'm sure somebody did, I know the governor and senators didn't, they are met with opposition. This country is too divided to save its own skin. In that case, the lives of the people who were lost in this event. And sometimes I sit here and I really think to myself, we are all only here because we just happen not to encounter someone that had just problems. And I can get sort of when you feel a need to go against someone that you personally knew that wronged you. What I don't get is going after people who they were at a nightclub. Who were they bothering? I've been asking myself that question for 365 days now. I'm sitting here on this anniversary trying to decipher this as if it's a fortune cookie or some Rubik's Cube. Just, I don't get it. Have that much hatred in your heart for people that did nothing to you. We can go and look through the gauntlet of historical figures, and very few of them, unless they're, Hitler or Mussolini, do I have some dislike of. Most of these politicians I'm indifferent to because none of them did anything directly to me. And that's what's so bothersome about when I go and look up, some of these videos talking about this was a hoax. That's so disrespectful and it's so just nasty to say. Who would make that up? I have seen those fringe theories around the internet, and every time I see that stuff, I just want to vomit. Not for me, but for the victims. Because I would hate the idea that here I am laying in the ground, which all of us will do, and someone is here mocking what happened to me and trying to paint some nonsense to get views on YouTube or to have people buy their book. I can't stand that. And I can't stand those people aren't here. So I just really want to say if there's one thing to take away from the Orlando shooting, it's that we none of us are entitled to decades of just being able to live like any person should be able to. And that's not because we're sick or anything. It's because someone will voluntarily choose it is your time to go. And we have to remember that we need to cherish each day that we're here, each day we don't run into a person of that nature, and each day we try to do something productive so that when we do leave here, we can look back and say, here's what I got done, which I think all the victims were able to do. I've continued to hope that the families are able to further recover. You can never replace the void, but you certainly can try to give some other element to it, to make something good out of a negative. Thank you for watching. Have a good day. Stay safe. I don't care who you are. It's not worth passing away over.